Pradesh and Rajasthan. Operation Beti Bazaar is coming up. The child trafficking network exposed is our top focus. Also, tonight we'll pay a special tribute to one of the greatest Indians who's passed away. The father of the Green Revolution, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, is no more. P. Sainath will be joining me to tell us just why he's a true builder of modern India. All that and more, but as always, first, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. India Today's sting operation uncovers a human trafficking racket across Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Minor girls offered to be sold off for 3 to 10 lakh rupees by their own parents and family. A day after a horrific video of a rape survivor surfaces in Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain, 3 accused, including the main accused auto driver Bharat Soni, are arrested. Police find bloodstains in the auto. Aam Aadmi Party and Congress lock horns in Punjab after a Congress leader Sukhpal Khera arrested as alleged accused in an old drugs case. Congress accuses Maan government of using enforcement for political gains. A day after the CBI ordered a preliminary probe into Delhi Chief Minister's house refurbish, Arvind Kejriwal challenges the BJP to show proof. BJP hits out, says AAP is drowning in corruption. Big question mark over the BJP's ethics in appointing its hate speech MP Ramesh Biduri as poll in charge in Rajasthan's Tok. Danish Ali raises a red flag as BJP MPs send a complaint against him to a privilege committee. Amidst the Kaveri dispute, Karnataka Bandh once again called on Friday. Section 144 imposed all schools and colleges to shut in Bengaluru city. India make one big change in their World Cup squad. R. Ashwin included in the squad for an injured Akshar Patel. 6th gold for India at the Asian Games comes once again from shooters. 10-meter air pistol featuring Sarabjot Singh, Shiva Narwal and Arjun Singh Cheema. Medal tally stands at 25. And the father of India's Green Revolution is no more. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan dies at the age of 98. He was a part of the team who transformed India into a country self-reliant in food production. But tonight's top story is a gripping and eye-opening investigation that sheds light on a dark and disturbing reality hidden beneath the surface of all the slogans of Nari Shakti. India Today's special investigation team exposes tonight the sinister underbelly of child trafficking and child prostitution. Our investigative reporters Mohammad Hizbullah and Jai Kishan Sharma traveled to 2 states, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, to take you deep into the heart of a harrowing tale that raises serious questions over the nature of women's safety in many parts of the country. Take a look.
An epidemic concealed behind occasional headlines. But India Today's special investigation team reveals the sinister reality of child trafficking and child prostitution, hidden in plain sight. Following leads, our reporters ventured into the forgotten corners of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Our first stop, a village in Rajasthan's Bundi. Meet Lakhan, a middleman facilitating the trade of minor girls in Ramnagar. In a village gripped by relentless poverty, where innocence is traded for profit.
बहुत सारी लड़कियां हैं गांव में, कम से कम 50-60 लड़कियां हैं। लड़कियां दिखा दूंगा आपको, जो पसंद आएगा आपको ये पसंद है लड़की, तो उससे बातचीत कर लेंगे उसकी मम्मी पापा से, ये सब कर सकते हैं।
अच्छा, वो कितने उम्र होता है?
उसकी होगा कम से कम 14 साल 15 साल। करवा दूंगा, आपकी बातचीत करवा दूंगा।
Lakhan offered to mediate deals involving minor girls in Ramnagar. Explaining that these transactions are disguised as formal contracts. Young lives commodified. Presented as singers and dancers for hotels and restaurants.
तो ये पेपर में क्या बनाओगे आप लोग? लिखत पढ़त में क्या लिखोगे?
लिखते हैं नाचने गाने के लिए।
अच्छा,
नाचने गाने के लिए भेजी है। अच्छा। बस ये लिखेगी होटल में नाचने गाने के लिए भेजी है।
अच्छा,
बाकी वो सारा काम करेगी। वो तो आड़ है अपनी, वो तो आड़ है। कोई रात दरबार पुलिस वाले देख लेने, वो तो आड़ है।
अच्छा,
उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं। कोई जबरदस्ती थोड़े भेज रहे अपने, उसके माँ बाप से रह लेंगे, उसके माँ बाप को पैसे देंगे, उसके बाद में कोई ऐसे अपने कोई दलाल थोड़े जो उसको भेज उठा के भेज देंगे।
तो ये लिखत पढ़त कौन करेगा एग्रीमेंट? उसके माँ बाप करेंगे?
माँ बाप कर लेंगे।
माँ बाप
आपको मिलेगी उसके बाद में बोला अंदर गड्ढे हैं, बुला लेंगे उसके बाद।
अभी कहाँ है?
अंदर गड्ढे लाके।
You have witnessed how minor girls in this Rajasthan village are traded under the cover of signed job contracts. Later in the day, Lakhan showed our reporters two potential victims. The minor girls currently in custody of her uncle named Jitendra. The uncle demanded 6 to 7 lakh for each of the underage teens, all bound by a 1-year contract.
क्या उम्र कितना है? कितने साल की हो? किसका?
16 साल का साल हो।
करवा लेना अदालत की सीढ़ी जी, कोई दिक्कत वाली बात नहीं इसमें। तो मेरे जरूरत पड़ गई सीढ़ी जी रख लो कि यार कहे 1 साल पे रख लो कि क्या नाम से दे देना का 6-7 लाख रुपए दे दो।
उस वाला सिस्टम।
अच्छा, 1 साल का 6-7 लाख रुपया?
ये बात है सीढ़ी।
1 साल बाद वापस आ जाती है?
आ जाती है। जैसे आपका टाइम पूरा हो गया, लड़की घर पर पहुँचाने के बाद में फिर दूसरी लड़की खरीद लेगी आराम से। जैसे आपने बोल दिया कि भाई साहब लेके आओ, तो हम तो आपका विश्वास आ जाएगा 1 साल भर में। कोई दिक्कत वाली बात ही नहीं है शेर जी। आप बोलेंगे कि इतनी चाहिए तो उतनी बेच देंगे।
तो आप हमें परमानेंट थोड़ी बेच रहे हो, ठीक है?
The darkness runs deeper. The web of exploitation stretches far and wide. At Adalwara village in Savai Madhopur, our reporters uncovered parents complicit in this sinister trade. Tano offered 2 of her daughters for sale, each for a price of 3 lakh rupees.
आपको ये प्रमाण नहीं देना, हमको अच्छा लगेगा तो आपके पास रखेगा, मुझे तो पैसे चाहिए। 2 बेटी मेरी, ये भी है, एक बम्बई भी रहती है।
अच्छा, 2 बेटी है? आपकी अपनी बेटी है, आपने खरीदा हुआ है?
नहीं, खुद की है मेरी। ये नहीं, ये एक तो ये
कौन?
आई जा आंटी ने थोड़ा मकान करके आरसीसी डलवाऊंगी, इसके लिए भेज रही हूँ। नहीं तो कम मेरे क्या, हमारे यहाँ कमा लेते हैं।
अच्छा, ये मकान बनवाना इसलिए दे रही है?
भेज रही हूँ मकान नहीं रहने के लिए। अभी तो 2 लड़कियों को भेज दूंगी, अगर पैसा देंगे तो 2 लड़की आएगी। वो दोनों किसी को भी लेके दो, 3 लाख रुपये लेंगे।
इसकी
कितनी है? नहीं,
18-19 साल।
हाँ,
18 है,
कितना है? 18-19।
Our investigation takes us next to Madhya Pradesh. In Neemach district's Borkhedi village, we encountered this man, Vijay, a jobless villager exchanging his 16-year-old sister for 3 lakh a month. On paper, the deal will feature a fraudulent loan contract.
वो कितने साल की है?
16 साल।
16 साल की लड़की है।
काम सब बढ़िया करेगी, व्यवस्थित, नाटक वाटक काम नहीं।
अच्छा,
चाहे आप 4 काम कराओ या 5 काम कराओ, नाइट नहीं रुकेगी। नाइट रुकोगे, एक रात रुकेगी किसी के पास सिंगल आके।
तो क्या आप लिखत पढ़त करेंगे?
लिखत पढ़त तो होगी ना।
क्या होगी? किस पे
एग्रीमेंट होगा स्टाम्प पे? हाँ,
तो स्टाम्प पे किसके नाम एग्रीमेंट बनेगा?
वो तो मेरे नाम पे होगा एग्रीमेंट।
आपके नाम होगा? तो उसमें लड़की का नाम होगा या नहीं होगा?
लड़की का नाम नहीं रहेगा उसमें।
तो
वो तो धनी अपन दोनों रहेंगे लेन देन में। तो
नहीं, तो एग्रीमेंट पे कुछ तो लिखा होगा ना, किस लड़की के लिए कौन सा लड़की का एग्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं आप?
वैसा नहीं लिखाएगा।
हाँ,
तो जैसे उसमें उधार का सिस्टम रहेगा।
अच्छा,
हाँ, कि आपसे मैंने उधार लिए इतने महीने के लिए।
अच्छा,
1 महीने के लिए तो 1 महीने का एग्रीमेंट करेंगे।
अच्छा, 1 साल का अगर उधार है तो 1 साल का।
1 साल का मतलब मेरे को 10,000 रुपये रोज की चाहिए, बोलिए आप 4 काम कराओ दिन में या 1 रात रुकवाओ।
अच्छा,
मैं 6,000 7,000 रुपये यही कमा रहा हूँ।
हाँ,
घर बैठे।
हाँ, अच्छा।
देख लो।
तो आप ये कह रहे हो कि 3 लाख रुपया आपको चाहिए।
At Piplia, Jodha village in Madhya Pradesh's Ratlam district, Kiran alias Neha offered her own niece for 2 lakh rupees a month.
जैसे ये लड़की है, ये कौन है?
मेरी सिस्टर की लड़की।
अपनी सिस्टर की?
नहीं, खुद की सिस्टर की।
अच्छा, उस लड़की के माँ बाप को देना है या आपको देना है?
मेरे
मुझे कितना है? जिस लड़की को आपने दिखाया, आपकी अपनी बहन की बेटी है ना?
हाँ, मेरी सिस्टर।
तो इस लड़की का मुझे कितने देने पड़ेंगे?
महीने के 2 लाख रुपये।
2 लाख रुपये। लड़की के माँ बाप ने तो कोई ऑब्जेक्शन, कोई दिक्कत किया तो?
नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं।
अच्छा, यहाँ जो आप देंगे, एग्रीमेंट करेंगे, तो किस पे? स्टाम्प पेपर पे होता है या सादे कागज़ पे करते हैं आप?
स्टाम्प पे हो जाएगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं।
स्टाम्प पे हो जाएगा ना?
A deeply unsettling world of child trafficking. A haunting reality that must be confronted head on. A report by Mohammed Hizbullah for India Today's Special Investigation Team.
Shocking, shameful, but some would say not surprising. This is the grim reality, my friends, in some parts of the country. It's a reality that flies in the face of all the political slogans that different parties make about women's empowerment and Nari Shakti. And the fact is, it also comes against the backdrop of horrific rape cases that we've seen in recent months. It was on Wednesday, remember, when a horrific video surfaced of a 12-year-old minor girl who walked semi-naked and bleeding on the streets of Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain. The main accused, an auto driver named Bharat Soni, has been arrested along with 3 others. Take a look at tonight's other report.
A 12-year-old child, semi-naked, partly covered with a small piece of cloth stained with blood, walking the streets of Ujjain on Monday, knocking on doors, begging for help. Her pleas go unheeded as many shoo her away. She finally got help from Rahul Sharma, a young priest at the Dandi Gurukul Ashram, situated approximately 15 kilometers from Ujjain city.
मैं कुछ न ध्यान देते हुए तुरंत ही पहले मैंने अपना ऊपरी वस्त्र उस बालिका को दिया। मैंने आश्रम के विद्यार्थी से कहा कि बालिका के स्वल्पाहार की कोई व्यवस्था की जाए। तुरंत ही जो आश्रम में बना था वह स्वल्पाहार उस बालिका को नैवेद्य के लिए, उसको खाने के लिए हम लोगों ने दिया।
The priest called the police and took the girl to a hospital where tests confirmed she was raped. The rape survivor's condition is serious. She was shifted to Indore on Tuesday for further medical treatment. 3 accused have been arrested for the ghastly crime. One of the accused is an auto driver. The police found blood stains from the auto and the vehicle has been sent for forensic examination.
जिसके ऑटो में खून के धब्बे मिले थे उसके ऊपर नॉन रिपोर्टिंग के लिए एफआईआर दर्ज की गई है। जो हमारा आरोपी है वो अलग।
Victim's family, who live in Satna, say she had gone to Ujjain for an examination. A union minister has vowed to take the strictest action against those who put the minor through this unthinkable ordeal.
12 साल की बच्ची के साथ रेप की घटना हुई सर, क्या कुछ कहेंगे?
और कानूनी कार्रवाई हो रही है।
State Congress Chief Kamal Nath has demanded that the victim be given financial assistance of 1 crore rupees. With Hemendra Sharma in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh, Bureau Report, India Today.
So let's raise those questions tonight. Nari Shakti, is it simply a slogan that political parties give at election time? Are we reaching a situation where there are still parts of this country that remain completely out of the concept of Amrit Kal and India shining and so much more that all our netas often talk about? Joining me now, Ranjana Kumari is Director of the Center for Social Research, Flavia Agnes, lawyer for women's rights and someone who's for years campaigned on gender issues. Kavita Krishnan is also women's rights activist. I want to get their views because I thought it's necessary to somehow or the other get that anger across when you see these stories playing out. To you first, Ranjana Kumari, do you want to respond to what you've just seen?
Well, Rajdeep, there cannot be worse than what happened with Ujjain girl, a child who's being brutalized and, she's seeking help from door to door. An insensitive society like ours, nobody comes forward to help. And then I had raised this issue already that this child must have been trafficked. Somebody must have brought her from her village to where she was multiple times raped, and then left to fend for herself. And so I feel that, trafficking is a very serious issue, and we all know about it. For years and years, we know Human Rights Commission came up with a report long time back. In fact, there were so many recommendations. We used to meet regularly by Central Ministry where we used to review what is going on with child trafficking. But, the reasons, and after COVID, nobody has paid attention to it, that the girls who have been withdrawn from the school, who are not going to school, who have gone back with their parents to their village, what happened to them, and that's what is happening to them. Because of extreme poverty, these girls have been now brought back by, they are saying parents, but this is the condition of the family that they have been brought back into the and traffickers are not being really nabbed by the police. Law has not been effectively implemented. Less said is better about this whole issue because, nobody, no government, whether it's in Madhya Pradesh, whether it's Rajasthan, Jharkhand, even Odisha, all these governments, everybody knows that from these interior areas, the children are being brought, the girl children, for the brothels, for these dance parlor. I just recently heard that Odisha has reopened the dance parlors. So I think this is what is the kind of situation the girl children have been pushed into, and no government. I will not really go for any kind of political statement here because no government so far has really paid any attention to children being sold and exploited and girl children being brought to the brothels of this country, and also for organ trading. Now it's not only just brothels and sexual exploitation and abuse, but also for all forms of organ trading that these children have been sold for.
We want to make it clear, there's a Congress government in Rajasthan and there's a BJP government in Madhya Pradesh. And these two states in the heart of India are the worst at the moment when it comes to crimes against women. So this isn't about BJP versus Congress. It's about completely the manner in which society, and dare I say at times a failed law enforcement machinery, has not been able to create an environment where women are made to feel safe and secure. Kavita Krishnan, your first reactions to that human trafficking story and the horrific story that we've reported also from Ujjain over the last couple of days.
Yes, Rajdeep. As you said, it's absolutely terrible and yet unsurprising. There has been, and I would like to flag here that child sexual trafficking affects not only girl children, but also boys. It has been documented in the past as well that around tourist centers, there is child trafficking, both of boys and of girls. And this has been documented for a long time. But as your reporter just said, that the issue is about confronting it head on. And I feel that as a society and our political leadership, the tendency is to say, Mera Bharat Mahan. And so we can't confront this. The point is
now, who is to confront it? Sorry to intervene. Who is to confront it? You saw what happened in Ujjain. Here is a poor semi-naked girl moving from, seeking help. Nobody wakes up. How long are we just
Exactly.
going to blame? It's not just the leadership, it's civil society also.
I said society and the state. I didn't say only the government. I said society and the state. The tendency is to say that our society, our country is above question. So everything is good and there are some bad people somewhere who do something. The fact that because society is complicit in this, as you said, that it really, our society sees women as commodities, as property, which even parents can simply trade in, you see. So if one sees it, if one understands this, if one confronts this as a society, as a state, I think that a difference can be made. Unfortunately, that is precisely something that we shy away from, we tend to look away from, and we tend to take offense when someone says, and I say this as a women's rights activist, that when you actually work in communities, the first reaction, it is extremely hard to work in communities because the minute you start flagging the fact that that community, that society, whichever mohalla it is or village it is, that is where in those homes girls and women are being mistreated, there is immediately a reaction. How dare you accuse our village, our mohalla? And that goes across communities, you see. So I think that why I speak about social as well as political leadership is that I feel they can make a difference. For instance, you spoke about the ashram man who offered help. Why is it that our, for instance, leadership of any social institutions, bodies, all of that, as well as political bodies, if they were to say that we are not saying we must respect our women, rather we should confront that we do not respect our girls, our women, we do not respect them as separate individuals deserving of the same dignity and respect as human beings. And that would mean their autonomy, their decision-making capacity, their right to education, their right to have a job, all of that. It's part of a whole. So I feel that responsibility shouldn't be left to women's rights groups.
There is a legal issue as well, Dr. Flavia Agnes, because the fact is that human trafficking has existed. These stories have, this is one of those worst kept secrets. It's known, it's only been flagged up. This investigation brings it out into the open because you're shocked by the openness and candor where even parents are talking about selling off their children. Is there a legal way in which you can send some kind of a deterrent? Do you believe that the law itself does not offer that deterrent?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a total failure of law and order. It's the way the police have lapsed in their duty. They're supposed to be acting there. It's not the responsibility of women's rights activists. It's not a responsibility of local NGOs. It is a state responsibility. And you can see clearly, if it is so widespread, whether it is Madhya Pradesh or whether it is Rajasthan or whichever state it is, the extent of which the law is flouted, I feel it is a state responsibility totally. It is not a question of somebody vigilant or somebody...
You're saying the state simply does not enforce the law, and as a result of which people feel no sense of fear that if they were to engage in human trafficking, they would not be prosecuted?
There are two things here. One is the way the state functions or state lapses. And second is patriarchy. How the family itself colludes with this and sells off their daughters. And that's what is horrific in this. That you...
But obviously they do it, ma'am, because they have no fear of the police.
Exactly. And there is acute poverty. This goes alongside that when there's so much of poverty, the parents don't think much of selling their daughters. And they sell their daughters and there's no fear of the police. The police look the other way and this thing goes on. And it's horrific that a rape victim has to go door to door asking for help. And such a thing cannot happen or should not be allowed to happen. And I feel that we have so much reform in rape laws, so many civil society organizations working there. And yet this happens, and that is the most disturbing part of this. And when you said Nari Shakti, I agree that, yes, it is a slogan. You see it as a step forward, etc., etc. But when this is the ground reality and you don't address economic issues, you don't address state failures, and then you bring out a law in parliament saying Nari Shakti, that is a mockery of the whole situation. This is what I feel.
You know, given that, Ranjana Kumari, we saw the manner in which, in the last few days, celebrations of a women's reservation bill being passed, 33% reservation. It is an important bill, no doubt about it. But the recognition that women's empowerment cannot simply be done through legislation in parliament. It requires multiple organizations at multiple levels to be committed to it. We had, after the Nirbhaya rape, a Nirbhaya fund that was set up. But in many states, even the monies of that fund have not been fully used. So you ask yourself that somewhere down the line, we will show this story today, come tomorrow, it will be forgotten. And once again, until the next heinous such crime happens, we will find that the system doesn't respond. Are we celebrating prematurely the belief that we have arrived in a way with true gender equality?
Well, Rajdeep, there are two issues that you're raising here. One, of course, is getting women more space political arena, and that's been 75 years of the independence, and women have not been allowed to enter that space in the way naturally a democracy should have brought about the situation where women will participate. So I think women reservation bill is a huge step. Let me not undermine that. And I think this is no other government could do it. And if this government has done it, certainly it is a huge space. And I'm sure women's leadership coming forward in a critical number is going to make a lot of things change. Because, can you imagine a parliament which is till date not discussed a report on trafficking situation in the country? You are raising this issue. But, not even once that there has been a proper report presented to the parliamentarians, and no parliamentarian is asking that question. What is going on? Why 12-year? No politician speaks when 12-year-old runs around for some kind of a help and support when she is bleeding on the streets of Indore. Nobody wants to come forward and help. So on the one side, there is a kind of insensitive, decaying, values and systems in the society where they blame the victim. If something has happened to the women, it is they who are responsible. And that is why they don't react. They don't come forward to help. On the other side, when the political space gets crowded and controlled, totally under patriarchal political parties, then, women are not able to raise any voice there also. So how do women live in this country? What should we do? So I think women reservation bill is a huge step. Let me not really, and my whole life struggle. I cannot in no way, accept.
I'm not minimizing it. I'm not minimizing it. I'm saying there are other real issues also out there that need to be addressed and also need to be prioritized. Is all I was saying. Kavita Krishnan, you want to respond? You want to respond that there is a sense.
Yes,
there's a sense that some of the noise that we make, the slogans that we have, as Flavia Agnes was also putting out, do not reflect the ground reality.
I think it goes further than that. See, the point is that how will change come? Change comes by persuading communities to look within, to recognize, for the country to look within and recognize that the problem does lie in our society. And then change can happen. And about the political sloganeering, I think the problem is, if it were aspirational, that's okay. But the point, I think, is, and it is, here I would have to say, that your most popular leaders, this is a government that, at the center, of course, the state governments, they are absolutely responsible for the police complicity, which Flavia correctly flagged. But I do also want to talk about the social change aspect and the difference it makes, the harm it does. When you have a home minister who says, look, human rights and all, we have our own civilizational human rights because our families are wonderful, our families just take care of women. But they don't, right? The point is they should, but they don't. So in order to say you should, you first have to acknowledge that they don't. At the same time, you have, for instance, the RSS chief saying rapes happen in India, not in Bharat. The point is this whole idea that you have to attach it to morality, you have to attach violence against women, as Ranjana said, to how women are behaving. Are they westernized and Indian, or are they Bharatiya culture? So, the point is whether it's Bharat or India, we are a deeply patriarchal, and not just patriarchal, we are a cruel society. We are a society which does indulge in deep cruelty. Of course, there's a lot of human response, humanity as well. Point is, how do we encourage humanity and decency and equality and discourage the other?
Let's be fair. There is change which is positive. This is the glass that we are seeing which reflects the darker reality. There are lots of examples in this country also of remarkable change taking place.
No, the point is that change, I'm not saying change doesn't take place. Change takes place when women fight, when women resist. Okay, no doubt. But the point is that's great. But my point is that those who are responsible for change, even the women's reservation bill that you're saying, women's reservation is important, as you said. We've been demanding it for 3 decades. The point is, even now, we do not have it, you see. I
need to stop you for a moment because I have the Rajasthan police who is joining me in a moment. I appreciate you all joining us. At the end of the day, the police has much to answer for in that Beti Bazaar story that we put out. Dinesh MN is ADGP Crime Rajasthan. Listen into him.
It's a very horrendous social crime which is happening, and it's in the knowledge of Rajasthan police also. Even in earlier years, we have taken action. In Bhilwada, Operation Gudia was launched, in which 24 people were arrested. And even in the very village that you have shown, Jaisinghpura and Tonk, we have arrested certain people and rescued certain girls about 2 years ago. So our anti-human trafficking cell and all the police stations and even our own crime branch and CCR branch, that is Civil Rights Branch.
More breaking news coming in where India Today's Anisha Mathur is now at the Nijjar kill site. Remember, this is the epicenter of the India-Canada storm, and she's the first Indian journalist to reach Surrey, where posters threatening India's diplomats have now come up. And this at a time when the Canadian government has been claiming that they are bringing down all these posters, any provocative posters that come up. Anisha joins us. Anisha, give us a quick update of what you see around you.
Well, Rajdeep, good morning from Surrey. It's 9 a.m. here, and I went to the Guru Nanak Sikh temple in Surrey at 7:30 a.m. And I'm back to my hotel now. But what I am seeing, I took a walk around the Dashmesh Gurdwara as well last night, which is also said to be a place where the Khalistani supporters hold sway. At the Dashmesh Gurdwara as well as at the Surrey Guru Nanak Sikh temple, I saw posters not only of Khalistan, not only of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, but also a giant poster calling for assassination of the Indian diplomats, which, by the way, is exactly the poster which was much publicized just a month or two ago when Canadian and Canadian Punjabi media had reported that the Canadian authorities had issued notices to the Gurdwaras asking them to take down these posters. And if you look at the visuals I've sent from my walk around the Gurdwara this morning, on one side of the gate there is a framework where the poster used to be, which was in a very much publicized manner by the Canadian Punjabi media, which was removed. But on the very other side of the gate of the main Gurdwara, a giant poster calling for the assassination of Indian diplomats is still there. In fact, now it also has a photo of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and there are posters everywhere in that particular area asking for investigation against India.
Did you ask very quickly any of the locals there as to why had anybody tried to bring down these posters? Any attempt made to bring down these posters by the officials there?
Well, Rajdeep, I am trying to speak to the Gurdwara, the people affiliated to the Gurdwara and people affiliated, other people right now. But as I said, it's 9 a.m. here and I'm still trying to get in touch with people. The people on the ground I spoke to, cab drivers, journalists, etc., they are saying that there were objections raised to those posters. In fact, a complaint had been given by an organization here, which is the Association of Progressive Organizations, which is also something that has been working in the community, in the Indian community. They had also given a complaint a couple of months ago when the referendum calls had been made, when these posters had gone up. But which is what I'm saying. After those complaints, in a much publicized move, one of the posters was taken down. But what we are seeing really is that poster goes down from one side, the framework is still there, but on the very other side, the giant posters are still there. So question needs to be asked. Is this an eyewash? What exactly is happening? Because most people here are simply worried about coming on camera and telling us anything on record. Back to you.
Anisha Mathur joining us there from Surrey with the very latest. Those posters still, in a sense, a reflection of the fact that the problem still exists on the ground. Let's turn to another problem that still exists on the ground. It's a week exactly since the hate speech by BJP MP Ramesh Biduri. The BJP had claimed that issued a show cause notice to Mr. Biduri. But guess what? A week later, he seems to be rewarded. He's been put election in charge on Sachin Pilot's home turf in Rajasthan's Tonk district. BSP MP Danish Ali, who bore the barrage of those hate slurs in the recent Parliament special session, has openly questioned the BJP's ethics. Take a look.
BJP MP Ramesh Biduri hurled Islamophobic abuses at BSP MP Danish Ali inside the Parliament on the 22nd of September. The opposition had immediately petitioned Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla against the BJP MP, and the party issued a show cause notice to Biduri. Nearly a week later, Biduri faces no action from either the Speaker or the BJP. Instead, he's been given additional responsibilities. The BJP has appointed Biduri, who is from the Nijjar community, as the in charge of Tonk district for Rajasthan Assembly elections. Tonk is the stronghold of Congress leader Sachin Pilot and has a significant Nijjar population. It's also speculated that Sachin Pilot may contest from Tonk constituency. The BJP's decision hasn't gone down well with the opposition India Alliance.
बीजेपी की महिमा परंपरा है उस आदमी को टोंक जैसे जिले में सिर्फ इसलिए ले गए कि बता दें कि हम परवाह नहीं करते हैं, चाहे संसद हो चाहे संसद के बाहर हो, अपने किसी आदमी के खिलाफ चाहे जितना बड़ा अपराध करे कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करे।
ये भाषा भारतीय जनता पार्टी की है, इन्हें आजीवन चुनाव लड़ने से पाबंदी लगानी चाहिए, ताउम्र उन पर बैन लगना चाहिए। ये हेट स्पीच है, हेट स्पीच पे कई लोगों की सदस्यता गई है, ऐसा कानून है।
Lashing out at the Narendra Modi government, BSP MP Danish Ali claimed the entire episode has exposed the BJP's true colors.
बाहर सड़कों पर नफरत का बाजार लगता था, उन्होंने संसद के अंदर नफरत का बाजार लगाया। मैं दावे से कह रहा हूं कि जिस जिले के वो प्रभारी बने हैं, अगर वो वहां बीजेपी उनकी ड्यूटी लगाएगी, जो जैसा कि आप बता रहे हैं, तो उसका रिजल्ट देखिएगा, वहां के लोग जवाब देंगे।
Meanwhile, BJP MPs who accused the BSP MP of making insulting comments against Prime Minister Narendra Modi have said that the Speaker has referred their petition to a committee to investigate.
Opposition parties, including Congress and TMC, have described latest appointment of BJP MP Ramesh Biduri as Assembly in charge of Tonk as a reward for abusing BSP MP Danish Ali and for spreading hate, while BJP has chosen not to get engaged in a verbal spat on this issue. Clearly, BJP is eyeing Gujjar community present in large numbers in Tonk, while the opposition is constantly asking, is this not akin to monetizing the hate? With Sanjay, this is Rahul Gautam reporting for India Today.
That's politics for you. Let's take a break at this point. When we return, I'm joined by a very special guest. P. Sainath will join me because tonight we want to pay tribute to the father of India's green revolution, M.S. Swaminathan, one of the greatest Indians of his times, the eminent agriculture scientist who transformed India into a country self-reliant in food production, is no more. P. Sainath joins me on the other side as we pay tribute to MS Swaminathan.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
India's longest serving editor, a pioneer in India's media landscape, pathbreaker and model for the entire profession, honored with IMA's Managing India Lifetime Achievement for contribution to media.
I believe journalism is a noble profession, for it carries a social responsibility.
Arun Puri has certainly made a huge impact on the lives of a whole lot of people in this country.
I've grown up reading India Today, so I can tell you that Arun's commitment to storytelling, his media excellence, has truly been inspiring for me.
His life's work is India's gold standard of journalism.
More troubling news coming in from Manipur, where violence has gripped the city of Imphal after the students' murder. 2 students, remember, were murdered after being abducted a few days ago. Tensions escalating once again. Protesters marching towards Chief Minister Biren Singh's house have clashed with the Manipur police. Those are the latest images that we are getting there of those clashes taking place. Manipur school students out on the street defying curfew orders and marching towards Chief Minister Biren Singh's residence. Tensions escalating there in the capital of Manipur. Okay, let's turn from there to another of our special focuses tonight. MS Swaminathan, Dr. Swaminathan, the father of India's Green Revolution, passed away tonight at the age of 98. Swaminathan led the Green Revolution that transformed India into a country self-reliant in food production. 60 years ago, when the country was dependent on food imports, he, along with his team, introduced high-yielding varieties of wheat and paddy in the country. And his 2006 report then became the basis for many reforms in the farming sector in recent times. In a career that spanned several decades, Dr. Swaminathan served India in several capacities, not just as an agriculture scientist, but as a policy person and indeed as a true nation builder. Joining me now is Magsaysay Award winner and someone who's tracked India's agriculture crisis over the years, P. Sainath. P. Sainath, locate for us what Dr. Swaminathan meant for several generations of Indians.
I think that with his passing, India has not, as you correctly said, just lost its foremost agricultural scientist, but it's lost one of its great thinkers and a very fine human being. I think, what Dr. Swaminathan did and which we have not honored in this millennium is the National Commission for Farmers 5 reports dealing with the agrarian crisis as it had evolved at that point. Rajdeep, the first of those reports was submitted in December 2004. The fifth and final report in 2 volumes was submitted in October 2006. No one of them has merited a single hour's dedicated discussion in Parliament. Never. That was the UPA government then in power, which completely sidelined, though it was a government report, and the NCF and Dr. Swaminathan were appointed by government. Then comes 2014 and the NDA government, which actually benefited greatly from its promise to voters, to farmers, that it would very quickly implement the Swaminathan Commission report, especially what they thought was the main recommendation of the report, which is minimum support price equal to total cost of production plus 50%. As a matter of fact, within months of taking power, the government did exactly the opposite. It filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying this is not feasible, it would distort market prices. It was heartbreaking to a man who had put so much of his life, so many decades of distilled experience into what was surely the first and the only thing so far approaching a blueprint for Indian agriculture.
Let me take you back into that distilled experience. I mean, every tribute today will say father of the Green Revolution. He was, of course, part of a team. Dr. Subramaniam, then minister in the government, all of them worked together. But do you have a memory of him that today's generation could perhaps recall what made Dr. Swaminathan so special?
Are you asking me about the Green Revolution period or my experience of him?
I remember you telling me before the show when I asked you to join us about, for example, not just Green Revolution, but also what he did in terms of the Vidarbha farm crisis that you were that you reported on, and farm suicides. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Rajdeep, it is indelible, the memory. It was 2005. He was the NCF, National Commission for Farmers chairman. And though everybody calls those reports the Swaminathan report because of the indelible imprint of Professor Swaminathan on those 5 reports. In 2005, he was NCF chairman. He was, I think, at the very least, occupying a status of Union Minister of State, though I think in his case, he made it a cabinet minister status. Very difficult to approach such people. But when we went appealing to him to visit Vidarbha, those of us journalists covering it at that time, I went on their behalf. He fixed it all in weeks and came very quickly after our appeal. He showed up for field visits. He was already in his close to mid 80s. And by the way, it led to, as you might remember, a big confrontation between the Vilasrao Deshmukh government and yours truly, because they wanted to give him a guided tour where, and keep him pinned down in meetings with bureaucrats and ministers and everything else. Whereas our idea was to take him to the households that had suffered suicides.
Is that in a sense, Sainath, something that stands out? Here is someone who in the 1960s works closely with the government of that time on the Green Revolution, and even in the 2000s is still around, still putting out reports, still responding to people like you when you refer to the Vidarbha farm crisis. Just the sheer longevity of spending a lifetime dedicated in a way to, as I said, nation building in some form or the other.
It's incredible. And I also simply admire the ability and quality of this person, his ability to look back on his own understanding and say, these were mistakes I made. For instance, he was very clear that he had underestimated the kind of impact that the overuse of fertilizer and pesticides would have. He seriously regretted that. And he was not, he was not shy about saying it. He was quite open about it. In the last years of his life, Rajdeep, he was increasingly critical of BT and GM, generally the genetically modified stuff. He had that, and third, he had the ability to listen and engage with people who were very critical of his opinions, and always with such great courtesy, politeness, and a willingness to learn. But I want to tell you what happened in Vidarbha in the field. The government of the day, the Congress Deshmukh government was trying to steer him to safe spots. He gently told them that I'll go where you want me to go, but 2 days I'm going in the field where these young men want me to go. And we took him to Prabhakar, the famous household of Shamrao Kathale, whose son had taken his own life. Unfortunately, Kathale himself died a few hours before the team arrived. We took him to home after home of where a farmer had taken his own life. You could see in the second meeting, tears were streaming down his face. It just hurt him so badly. And that was also a sign of his commitment, his compassion, his attachment to the farmer. He was really upset. And I think that visit influenced him and his thinking further as he took more and more critical positions. So that was something really terrific. And that ability to look back critically.
As I end, I just wonder, the Bharat Ratna, if there are two Indians that I believe unfortunately weren't given, both in a way have links to rural India and agriculture. One is Dr. Varghese Kurian, who quite remarkably brought about the milk revolution and brought the cooperative movement together. And the other is Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. In many ways, they represent the finest ideals of nation building, working in agrarian India, where a large part of India still continues to live. And they did it, as Sainath put it eloquently, by putting the cause above themselves, and thereby were able to, in a way, take us forward. I've run out of time, Sainath. I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
But if you have 30 seconds, I'm giving you 30 seconds.
Yeah, I will say this, that he will remain, he will be remembered not just in the halls of government, bureaucracy, and of the institutions of science, but he will be embedded in the hearts and minds of tens of millions of farmers who since 2005 have hit the streets of this country demanding the implementation of the Swaminathan Commission.
That's right. And perhaps the best tribute to him would be to implement at least that report and the philosophy that lied behind it. Thanks very much, Sainath, for joining me here on the news today. I want to end, though, on a slightly happier note. It's Ganesh Chaturthi and it's Visarjan Day. That's right. The celebrations of Ganesh Visarjan across the country, especially across Mumbai, thousands of devotees gathering in large numbers to bid farewell to our favorite god, at least my favorite god. We leave you with those visuals of Ganesh Chaturthi and say, Puchya Varshi Laukariya. Come back again soon next year. You stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Jai Ganesh, Jai Hind.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
ऐसा है, ये प्योर बदलाखोरी है। पंजाब में भगवंत मान हमारी ऑपोजिशन को जर नहीं पा रहे। एक तरफ केजरीवाल और भगवंत मान इंडिया अलायंस के अंदर घुसने के लिए हमारी दिल्ली की लीडरशिप के ऊपर बहुत दबाव डालते हैं और यहाँ पंजाब में कांग्रेस को मार्जिनलाइज करने के लिए, आवाज बंद करने के लिए ऐसी गंदी हरकत की है आज। जो ये बोलते थे ना कि बदलाव की राजनीति कर रही है, ये बदलाव नहीं है, ये बदला है। ये तो भगवंत मान जैसे खून का प्यासा है। एंड लेट मी टेल यू आर द रिस्पॉन्सिबल मीडिया हियर, आई विल नॉट बी सरप्राइज्ड इफ ही गेट्स मी फिजिकली एलिमिनेटेड ऑल्सो। ये तो एक किस्म का, जैसे पुलिस वाले जो इस लेवल के हैं, ये पेड मर्सिनरीज की तरह काम कर रहे हैं। जैसे ना गुंडे बदमाश पेड होते हैं, ये भूल गए कि हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के रखवाले हैं, हम वर्दी डालते हैं। मेरे को इस तरह गिरफ्तार करके ये सिर्फ अपने उसने प्यास ठंडी की है भगवान में। एंड आई डोंट बॉदर, लेट मी टेल यू ऑल ऑफ यू, आई विल फाइट एवरी लिटिल बिट ऑफ इट। और मैं बिल्कुल डरने वाला नहीं हूं।
ಬಾಬಾ ಸಾಹೇಬ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ದಾರೆ, ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪವಾಸ ಕುಂಡ್ರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸರ ಭಯದಿಂದ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋದ್ರು. ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸರು 2ನೇ ಮಹಾಯುದ್ಧದ ನಂತರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅವರು 4-5 ಭಾಗವನ್ನ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಘೋಷಣೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ಕರೆನ್ಸಿ, ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ಧ್ವಜ, ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗೀತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಮೋದಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೆಹರು ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸ್ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ताओं को बड़ा पीड़ित कर रही है, उत्पीड़न बहुत हो रहा है। इसीलिए पंजाब की यूनिट किसी भी हालत में अलायंस नहीं चाहती। वो देख रहे हैं कि अपनी बचत के खातिर इंडिया अलायंस में आम आदमी पार्टी शामिल हो गई है। मेरा ख्याल है इंडिया अलायंस में न आए होते तब तक गिरफ्तार हो गए होते। और सुखपाल खैरा जी चूंकि पहले से आम आदमी पार्टी से आए हैं, इसलिए दुश्मनी निकाल रहे हैं।
The case is of 2015. Aam Aadmi Party government came to power in March 2022. Today we are in September 2023. What was taking so long for the Aam Aadmi Party and its police and government, which is very proactive to pursue cases of all kinds to settle political scores of people who write against Mr. Kejriwal, to go and take action on Mr. Khera for the last 18 months? So it seems that this entire development has taken place after Mr. Bajwa spoke about 32 MLAs of Aam Aadmi Party being in touch with him. After the Congress Party has said that they will contest all the seats in Punjab. After the Congress Party and Aam Aadmi Party have been fighting over the 7 seats in Delhi.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 24 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 25 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 35 and minimum 26 degrees. Bengaluru, maximum 26 and minimum 19 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 26 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 31 and minimum 23 degrees.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Powered by Volkswagen. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर family होगी insured.
Sensational disclosure by terrorist Nijjar's son. Rajdeep Nijjar was in touch with Canadian intelligence officials. Nijjar held weekly meetings with Canadian intelligence officials. One meeting was held just a day before Nijjar was killed. Why was the Canadian intelligence meeting a plumber so frequently? Is Canada being economical with the truth? Explosive Nijjar disclosure. That's our top focus on India First.
So the Canadian Security and Intelligence Service, it seems, held weekly meetings month before Nijjar was killed. One meeting was held on the 17th of June, that's a day before Nijjar was killed, and another was scheduled for the 20th of June, 2 days after he was gunned down. All of this information has been shared by his son. We get you details on the story. Also coming up on India First, the ground report the nation has been waiting for. India Today reports from the epicenter of the India-Canada storm. India Today's Anisha Mathur reports from Surrey, where that Canadian terrorist Rajdeep Nijjar was gunned down. We'll get you that big story. I'm Gaurav Sawant. First, as always, let's get started with the headlines at 10. India Today's sting operation uncovers human trafficking racket across Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Minor girls sold off between 3 lakhs to 10 lakh rupees by their parents and relatives. Aam Aadmi Party and Congress lock horns in Punjab after Congress leader Sukhpal Khaira arrested as alleged accused in an old drugs case. Congress accuses the Bhagwant Mann government of using enforcement for political gains. After CBI orders a preliminary inquiry into Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's house refurbishment, Arvind Kejriwal challenges the BJP to show proof. BJP hits back, says the Aam Aadmi Party is drowning in corruption. Sixth gold for India at the Asian Games. India wins gold in the men's 10-meter air pistol event, featuring Sarabjot Singh, Shiva Narwal and Arjun Singh Cheema. The medal tally now stands at 25. Our top story on the broadcast, a bombshell dropped by terrorist Rajdeep Singh Nijjar's son Balraj in Canada. Balraj Nijjar has revealed that his father was in touch with Canadian intelligence agencies regularly. He claims they virtually had weekly meetings months before Nijjar was killed. In fact, one meeting was scheduled and held on the 17th of June, a day before Nijjar was killed outside that Gurudwara in Surrey, and the second meeting was scheduled for 20th of June. But the question remains, why were Canadian agencies meeting a plumber so regularly? And if it was to protect him or sensitize him, why did they fail so miserably to protect him?
A new twist to the diplomatic war between India and Canada. over the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Hardeep Nijjar's son, Balraj, has made a sensational claim. Balraj Nijjar has said his father was regularly in contact with the Canadian intelligence agencies. Balraj, in an interview given to the Canadian media, revealed that Hardeep Singh Nijjar met senior officials of the Canadian intelligence establishment 2-3 days before he was killed on the 18th of June outside the Gurdwara in Surrey. Balraj also said that intelligence authorities had advised Nijjar to stay home. Balraj says he accompanied his father to these meetings. The new revelations come days after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a statement in Parliament, pointed fingers at India over the murder.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
India has categorically rejected the Canadian allegation of involvement in Nijjar's murder as absurd and politically motivated, saying Canada had long provided shelter to Khalistani terrorists and extremists.
कुछ देश हमारी दी गई इंफॉर्मेशन पर बहुत तेजी से रिएक्ट करते रहे हैं, जबकि कनाडा के बारे में मैं अफसोस से कहता हूं कि हम लोगों ने बहुत इंफॉर्मेशन उनके साथ रेगुलरली शेयर की है, हमारे लेवल पर भी और भारत सरकार के लेवल पर भी. जहां तक पन्नू का सवाल है या निज्जर का सवाल है, इसके बारे में हम लोगों ने उनको कंक्रीट एविडेंस दिया है और वो स्वयं भी जानते हैं कि इन लोगों की किस तरह की गतिविधियां हैं. लेकिन अफसोस यही है कि वहां से जिस तरह की रिस्पांस मिलनी चाहिए कनाडा से, वो रिस्पांस नहीं मिली है.
Hardeep Singh Nijjar was originally from a village in Punjab's Jalandhar district. The 45-year-old went to Canada, allegedly on forged documents, according to investigators. India has been demanding action against Khalistani terrorists, including Nijjar, who are operating from Canadian soil for several years now.
It's extremely curious why Canada's intelligence agencies would meet a plumber so frequently unless there is more to it than meets the eye. Because do keep in mind, Indian intelligence agencies and the Ministry of External Affairs had regularly, not just once, but more than once, shared a dossier on Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was a designated Khalistani terrorist in India.
Khalistani terror, open threats to Canadian Hindus, targeted killings, gang wars, and now a diplomatic war with a friendly nation have put the Canadian government in a tough spot. Bureau Report, India Today.
And India Today's Anisha Mathur is on ground zero. She travelled to Surrey, to the site where terrorist Nijjar was shot at 50 times on the 18th of June. In fact, 35 bullets hit him. India Today reports from that kill site. Anisha Mathur with this ground report.
I'm here outside the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara in Surrey, Vancouver, where very famously the Canadian media had recently reported that the Khalistan flags and the posters against India had been removed. But if you see the reality, that is something else. While on one side of the Gurdwara gates, the poster had been removed, on the other side of the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara gate, a poster calling for the assassination of Indian diplomats is very much there. It is right here outside the Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara gates, along with a poster of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was killed very recently, causing a massive diplomatic spat between India and Canada. Canadian government laws are very clear that while you can call for a protest, you can call for a referendum, you have the right to free speech, what you cannot do under Canadian law is call for violence against any particular identified community. So it is now then for the authorities in British Columbia, in Surrey, to see why such a poster is still up outside a Gurdwara, even though from the other side the poster was removed amid a lot of media reportage here in Canada? Are we only getting one side of the story that is happening in Surrey, back home in India? Reporting from the ground in Surrey, this is Anisha Mathur from India Today.
The question also remains, why is no action being taken against Gurpatwant Singh Pannu when that terror supporter, when that terror backer says Hindus leave Canada? If it's against the law, then why is no action being taken against him by the Justin Trudeau government? The question also remains, why were Canadian intelligence agencies meeting Nijjar so frequently? Is Canada being economical with the truth? Let me quickly bring into this conversation Daniel Boardman. He's a senior correspondent with the National Telegraph, joins us from Toronto. And Daniel, Nijjar's son says his father held weekly meetings with the CSIS, the Canadian intelligence agencies, months before he was killed. Is that normal? Is that odd that Canadian intelligence agencies were meeting a plumber so frequently?
Well, I mean, no, it's not normal. I don't have meetings with CSIS every week. I don't think I ever have had CSIS agents come to my house. But a lot of this can kind of be explained through like a bit of an Occam's razor. Like, of course, that kind of happened. Because, yes, do I believe that Hardeep Singh Nijjar was getting lots of death threats and heat on him? I can believe that. Why can I believe that? Because I can see a video of him calling for the death of Hindus, violent separatism, and supporting suicide bombings. So if you're, making video content as a content creator or plumber, and your content is, I support suicide bombings and violence against this particular group of people, some people in that group you're calling for violence against are going to call for violence against you. Now, none of this is good. None of us should be calling for violence. Hindus shouldn't be threatening Sikhs. Sikhs shouldn't be threatening Hindus. Khalistanis this. We none of us want this. But it could make sense how someone who went around was, suspected by the Vancouver Sun in 2016 of running a potential terrorist training camp, videos of AK-47s, videos of dangerous speeches, of course that's going to rub some people the wrong way. Right. And then you add into the fact that there's a lot of inter-violence between the Khalistani gangs, so no wonder his, life could have potentially been under threat. Now,
be that as it may, Daniel, why would agencies be meeting him so frequently and no follow-up action be taken or at least be known in public domain? So, for example, one meeting, according to The Sun, was held on the 17th of June. That's one day before Nijjar was killed. And the other was scheduled for the 20th of June. Now, does this indicate he was either an informer for the intelligence agencies or the agencies were seeking information?
I mean, it's impossible to know. I wasn't there in the room. It's a complicated situation, and it's one of those, you can think of 10 different things being possible. And, I can understand the frustration of Indians and also Canadians. Like, why are so many resources going to protect these guys who are so clearly a problem? And why are we not trying to protect the people they're threatening? More like the division of resources in terms of our intelligence assets are questionable. I will grant you that. It's impossible to know. We're probably never gonna know the content of these meetings. But as I said, there's sort of an Occam's razor to this, which is, he's on video calling for violence and death against a particular ethnic group.
Yes.
Of course, he faced some blowback for that. We can all understand, you're on video supporting a suicide bombing. People aren't going to be happy. So, how seriously do our intelligence agencies take the Khalistani threat? How much do they understand the Khalistani threat? How much political will is there to do something about the Khalistani threat? All of those questions are prominent in the minds of a lot of Canadians because...
Oh, I'm glad... I'm glad at least those questions are being asked in Canada, because if there was a threat, and taking that theory forward, that there was a threat to Nijjar's life, and if intelligence agencies were aware of it, would they not have deployed the police to protect him? Would they not have been giving him personal security detail? Something, it just seems, doesn't add up, that they're meeting him frequently, but and I want to understand from you, since you're reporting the story, was any visible security provided to him on ground?
That we don't know. Also, you have to keep in mind this is Canada, not America. So here's a side story that might give you a bit of an insight into Canadian security approaches. When the Toronto Raptors won the NBA championship in 2019, there was a big parade in Toronto. Justin Trudeau was there, the premier was there, he was making a speech on stage. During that, there was an actual gang shooting like a block away, gunshots going off. And it's not like RCMP and CSIS rushed to the stage and pulled the prime minister off. And we went to DEFCON 1 and this massive security apparatus went into functioning state. Everyone was kind of just standing around twirling their thumbs in the air. So this is like the level of like competence we have when guarding the literal prime minister when there's active shooting within the vicinity. So the incompetence of the Canadian police among matters of extremism and like this, it's unfortunately nothing new in the last 10 years with the sort of depolicing strategy, this sort of police cause crime, not stop crime mentality where we're just, you know, we're beating our police officers into the ground and pushing them out of duty. And you also have a culture where like police feel like, hey, if I step in the middle of some Khalistani gang violence between these people and, you know, I end up shooting one of the gang members as I got shot at, like he knows that he'll be on the CBC as like the next Derek Chauvin and, you know, he's just murdered an innocent person. So I think there's a large factor like that where a lot of, I think, police officers in Canada wouldn't want to do a dirty, complicated job because even if they do it well, there is no reward, there's no win for them there. So,
but are the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the investigators in this case, or the intelligence agencies, the CSIS, are they expected to clarify if what Nijjar's son says is true, that Hardeep Nijjar feared for his life, that he had been sensitized about a threat to his life? Would these agencies be questioned? What action did they take on ground or didn't take on ground?
Questions will be coming, but it's Canada, so you won't get answers to those questions for like 3-4 years. They're going to try and bury it and release this information. It will become public, but they're going to want to release it at a time when we've mostly forgotten the story and it can all just kind of go into the ether and be like, oh, we might have got some things wrong 3-4 years ago. Oopsie doodles. That's kind of the way you know, I see Canada handling this in our current environment.
So is there renewed focus on these Canadian terrorists like Hardeep Singh Nijjar, on these Khalistani terrorists? Daniel, stay with me for a moment because I want our viewers to understand the two different perspectives. So Western media refers to Hardeep Singh Nijjar as a Sikh leader, an activist. Some say he was a plumber. The Indian media, the government of India, they're very clear that Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a terrorist under the UAPA Act. He'd been proscribed as a terrorist. The Canadian government calls him an ordinary Canadian citizen who was executed by foreign operatives. Government of India says he's a designated terrorist, he's a fugitive from law. But was this a gang war that led to his death? What actually happened? Let's bring you both sides of the story as always on India Today.
His supporters in Canada have elevated him as Shaheed or a martyr, projected him as a devout, selfless Sevadar or a volunteer at the Surrey Gurudwara where he was murdered on June the 18th. But a picture of Hardeep Singh Nijjar carrying an AK-47 with an underfolder and a magazine has come haunting the slain Khalistani leader. India Today's open source intelligence unit has sifted through the facts from what could be a make-believe portrayal of Nijjar in the Western press. We found that the man designated as a terrorist pictured himself with an authentic Kalashnikov assault rifle in Pakistan. That's right, the firearm you see in this picture is no fiction, no photoshopping, and nor is it the work of generative artificial intelligence. Nijjar's Pakistan visit in 2013-2014 is very much in the public domain. Reports also suggest during that trip, ostensibly for a pilgrimage to the historical Nankana Sahib shrine, he also met individuals linked to the ISI. Nijjar in a group photograph, all posing on a rooftop. Trees, an open area, a gate, and dome-shaped structures in the backdrop. When referred to Google Earth imagery from 2013 with specific coordinates, exact features show up. Imagery of the same location 3 years later show no trees. That establishes that Nijjar visited this location in Pakistan almost 10 years ago, barely a 4-hour drive from where Osama bin Laden was eliminated by US Navy SEALs a few years prior. By comparing the first geolocated picture with the second image featuring Rajdeep Nijjar holding the assault rifle, it now becomes evident that he's wearing the same t-shirt and turban in both photographs. And that lends a high degree of credibility to assertions that Nijjar's AK-47 picture was taken during this same visit to Pakistan. This in turn punctures theories spun by Nijjar supporters of his being a selfless volunteer and a devotee going on a pilgrimage. His visit to Pakistan more than just a religious tour when he pictures himself brandishing an assault rifle. With Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Daniel, is there closer scrutiny on these Khalistani elements in Canada? Are people asking the Trudeau government questions about India's allegations that they're being too soft on these Khalistani terrorists, or leaders like Jagmeet Singh, who see themselves as future Prime Ministers of Canada, ensure that there's no action that's taken against Khalistani elements?
Yeah, I would say the awareness of this problem is growing. The primary focus of a lot of Canadian media is how did Justin Trudeau invite a literal Waffen-SS Nazi to be honored in Parliament, and why is he not taking responsibility for it? So that's the main scandal. But growing, not in very rarely in mainstream media, a few penetrated through, but there's been a growth of online media trying to be stifled by the government where these conversations are happening, where people are more curious, where they take a look and there's actual journalists who are like, oh, here's the video of him supporting, again, the suicide bombing, and it's actually a more interesting story. So yeah, I do see it's growing. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, the fact that the Prime Minister did something even crazier than destroying our entire diplomatic relations with a strong, important ally, that's like the number one story right now is, how did we get a Nazi into Parliament? Yes. How did they not vet him? But it's piling on this. It's with this wave of disaffection with Trudeau. I think people are also looking to these problems. And I will say on the is he a plumber, is he a terrorist thing? Listen, I've seen the dossier. I'm going to talk from a pragmatic point of view of trying to fix this problem. The terrorism designation might not be the most productive because it gives the chance for them to claim asylum and game the system. And then terrorism charges are much, much harder to prove than normal charges. Like, we might be better getting them on drugs, violence, harassment, gang. Like, there are legitimate crimes that they are actually committing that we could get them on. And when we throw terrorism in there, it adds a whole other bar that you have to prove, and then it will become a national case that it may be more productive if we can kind of come to an accord and say, okay, terrorism, not terrorism, but what they're doing is they're openly advocating for violence. Yes. They're harassing identifiable groups. They're involved in organized crime, drug running, illegal guns. This is the things that we could actually probably take care of in a more efficient manner.
So,
and as long as they're going to jail.
Action is taken against people like Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who's openly threatening Hindus in Canada. And of course, if the Justin Trudeau government is going to put evidence out in public domain, if there's pressure to put that evidence in public domain, or can Justin Trudeau actually get away with the spit and scoot tactics? We'll track that story very closely. Daniel Boardman for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks. We'll be tracking this story very, very closely. Coming up next is Abha Bakaya with Business Today. Stay with us.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
मैं ऐसा है, ये प्योर बदलाखोरी है। पंजाब में भगवंत मान हमारी ऑपोजिशन को जर नहीं पा रहे। एक तरफ केजरीवाल और भगवंत मान इंडिया अलायंस के अंदर घुसने के लिए हमारी दिल्ली की लीडरशिप के ऊपर बहुत दबाव डालते हैं, और यहाँ पंजाब में कांग्रेस को मार्जिनलाइज करने के लिए, आवाज बंद करने के लिए ऐसी गंदी हरकत की है आज। जो ये बोलते थे ना कि बदलाव की राजनीति कर रही है, बदलाव नहीं है, ये बदला है। ये तो भगवंत मान जैसे खून का प्यासा है। एंड लेट मी टेल यू आर द रिस्पॉन्सिबल मीडिया हियर, आई विल नॉट बी सरप्राइज्ड इफ ही गेट्स मी फिजिकली एलिमिनेटेड ऑल्सो। ये तो एक किस्म का, जैसे पुलिस वाले जो इस लेवल के हैं, ये पेड मर्सिनरीज की तरह काम कर रहे हैं, जैसे ना गुंडे बदमाश पेड होते हैं। ये भूल गए कि हम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के रखवाले हैं, हम वर्दी डालते हैं। मेरे को इस तरह गिरफ्तार करके ये सिर्फ अपने उसने प्यास ठंडी की है भगवान में। आई डोंट बॉदर, लेट मी टेल यू ऑल ऑफ यू, आई विल फाइट एवरी लिटिल बिट ऑफ इट। और मैं बिल्कुल डरने वाला नहीं हूं।
आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ताओं को बड़ा पीड़ित कर रही है, उत्पीड़न बहुत हो रहा है। इसीलिए पंजाब की यूनिट किसी भी हालत में अलायंस नहीं चाहती। वो देख रहे हैं कि अपनी बचत के खातिर इंडिया अलायंस में आम आदमी पार्टी शामिल हो गई है। मेरा ख्याल है इंडिया अलायंस में न आए होते तब तक गिरफ्तार हो गए होते। और सुखपाल खैरा जी चूंकि पहले से आम आदमी पार्टी से आए हैं, इसलिए दुश्मनी निकाल रहे हैं।
The case is of 2015. Aam Aadmi Party government came to power in March 2022. Today we are in September 2023. What was taking so long for the Aam Aadmi Party and its police and government, which is very proactive to pursue cases of all kinds to settle political scores of people who write against Mr. Kejriwal, to go and take action on Mr. Khera for the last 18 months? So it seems that this entire development has taken place after Mr. Bajwa spoke about 32 MLAs of Aam Aadmi Party being in touch with him. After the Congress Party has said that they will contest all the seats in Punjab. After the Congress Party and Aam Aadmi Party have been fighting over the 7 seats in Delhi.
Amid the escalating India-Canada standoff, the National Investigation Agency has intensified its crackdown on Khalistani terrorists. The NIA on Wednesday raided 50 locations in Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. During the raids, the NIA detained wanted Canada-based terrorist Arsh Dala's aide Jora from Firozpur in Punjab. Sources in the NIA have revealed how Khalistani gangsters based abroad are funding overground workers in India through Hawala channels to procure drugs and weapons. Information retrieved, Khalistani gangsters arrested under the UAPA so far has shown the Nexus is involved in terrorist funding and arms supply from foreign soil.
Khalistani terror modules now under scanner of the NIA, and what we know is that this pertains to 6 states. The Khalistani extremist groups are already under pressure with properties being seized. Other properties of 19 terror groups have now been under process of identification, and there would be a lot of action which would be done on ground. But clearly at this point of time, a lot of action happening in Punjab.
The NIA's charge sheet, accessed by India Today, reveals how Khalistani terrorist Arsh Dala runs an extortion gang and supplies arms and drugs from Pakistan through drones. The charge sheet also claims Khalistanis are targeting Punjabi music and film industries and are demanding extortion money from producers and directors. The NIA court documents expose the alleged nexus between Khalistanis and Dawood Ibrahim. In the investigation, it has come to light that terror outfit Babbar Khalsa International has built up ties with Dawood and through him with banned terrorist organizations like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Indian Mujahideen. With Kamaljeet Sandhu in Chandigarh and Shreya Chatterjee in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
unlike Mumbai, that the road space is an issue. But what is happening that we are able to not have cities while it's growing at a different level, that it's not matching up to the traffics that also needs some coordination?
So I think first of all, I wish our Bangalore in charge minister, D.K. Shivakumar, was on this call. I hope you guys call him and get him onto the show. Everything said, what Biju said is absolutely fine. Harish is said right. But 5 months, this government has come. Every single work has been stopped. Okay? Because some inquiries are going on the previous corruption and things like that. Inquiries are welcome. Stopping the work, which means roads are, even potholes are not being, filled. Now, contractors, of course, they have not been paid, so no contractor is there, and this is coming from the, the government employees, not that, something which is being, said lightly. Now, having said that, this problem of traffic essentially can be solved only with public transport. Now, public transport, BMTC buses, you want to take a BMTC buses, you have to have footpaths to walk to the bus stop. You have to have footpath to reach the metro station. There are no footpaths. And by the way, road width. One place's road width could be 4 lane, other places like, Harish said, it will be either parking or the road will narrow down. So I think Bangalore's problem, road infrastructure, is not a physical infrastructure problem. It is the problem of governance. It is a problem of no strategic thinking on how to fix the problem. In fact, you'll be shocked, 6 years ago, there was no plan to make the metro on Outer Ring Road. This was completely private initiative which forced the government to think about it. Government was not even thinking. So there is no planning, there is no thinking. And either this, not only this government, successive governments.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Hello and welcome. You with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. Is China envious of the Make in India iPhone? Chinese social media is flooded with misinformation and fake news about the Indian-made iPhone 15, and the usually iron-fisted Chinese government is allowing this propaganda to spread. Veteran ace investor Mark Mobius speaks exclusively to BTTV, says he strongly believes in the India story and also discusses the impact of the Indo-Canada diplomatic war on foreign investments. Sensex and Nifty closed at 4-week lows with 2.8 lakh crore rupees of investor wealth wiped off. Concerns over rising oil prices and high interest rates. Travel company Yatra lists at a disappointing 10% discount. Crude oil prices surged to $97 a barrel, the highest level in over a year. Oil India ONGC shares rally while those of HPCL, BPCL and Indian Oil fall on margin concerns. Indian tech funding hits 5-year low with third consecutive quarterly decline. Traction report says tech startups raised just $1.5 billion in July to September, a 29% decrease from the previous quarter and a 54% fall from last year. Envious and furious, that's what a section of the Chinese are after the latest made-in-India Apple iPhones hit the market earlier this month. Social media users from China are seemingly on a mission to create doubts over the quality of the handset built in India. Platforms like Weibo and X are now flooded with doubts about the quality of the iPhones made in India.
It was less than a week ago that Apple CEO Tim Cook joined customers as they bought the first iPhone 15s off the shelf. His smile probably rooted in the belief that Apple's supply chains were no longer hostage to China's mood swings. This as the first made-in-India iPhone 15 also went on sale across the world.
The Indian customer will get an iPhone 15 that is manufactured in India, and the other customers will get iPhone 15 that are manufactured elsewhere in the world, including China. So that is a big difference between what used to be and what is today. And this is a transformation that has happened over the last 9 years, and India is certainly a leading presence on the global electronics scene today.
But India's moment of pride has raised unprecedented heckles in China, with social media and state-controlled outlets in China erupting with anti-India posts. Several posts on Weibo allege that the India-made iPhone 15 units are being diverted to China after being rejected in Europe for having quality issues. There were other posts which in fact mentioned some incredible numbers that only 34% of Indian-made iPhones could pass European quality tests. The misinformation was picked up by other platforms like WeChat and gained traction with dozens of articles and videos repeating and even blowing up the false claims. Articles also appeared on Chinese websites on how to identify and avoid India-made iPhones. Most of these articles are patently false. The Chinese propaganda war against India also took a racist turn, with a popular post doing the rounds that new iPhones will smell of curry. There were also comments that the best way to identify India-made iPhones is to smell it. Others made fun of India-made iPhones being dirty because Indian people don't use toilet paper. A teardown of an iPhone also showed alleged dust particles inside. The latest allegations are that the made-in-India iPhone Pro series overheat on charging. The only problem in these allegations, including the ones about the dust, are that the Pro series is not manufactured in India. Only the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus are. Apple had to later issue a clarification that chargers of Android phones should not be used to charge the iPhone. Surprisingly, the Chinese state, which keeps an iron-fisted control over all articles and social media posts, has allowed the spread of the false narrative against India. This has led many to believe that the posts are not isolated but reflect China's increasing discomfort with the growing success of the Modi government's Make in India scheme. Apple is reportedly reaffirming its faith in India and has targeted a production target of $40 billion in the next 4 to 5 years from the current $7 billion. The plans include expanding the product mix in its factories in India, a move which is bound to cause more consternation in China. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
With Chinese social media posts working in concert to spread misinformation about the quality of India-made handsets, Business Today TV managing editor Siddharth Zarabi spoke to the president of one of India's largest mobile phone companies, Lava.
When the ecosystem was not there in India, I'm talking about 10 years back, 9 to 10 years back, so we had to set up our factory in China. So that's where we had this whole design center as well as the manufacturing setup. And then later on we shifted to India, we shifted the entire design as well as manufacturing setup to India. I can tell you from the numbers that I have that whenever we used to do manufacturing in China, whether it is by ourselves or through a third party, our fault rates used to be very high. And ever since we have got manufacturing in our own control in India, our fault rates have dramatically reduced. So this mindset of quality in India is very good. I think I do not believe this theory that Indians cannot do a good quality job. I think we are doing a good quality job already. So I don't subscribe to that. Of course, you will always have people who will obviously find faults with everything.
Markets today closed lower. Benchmarks were down about 1% in trade, with about 2.8 lakh crore rupees of wealth wiped off the market, with investors anxious about rising inflation and tightening interest rates. The rise in crude oil prices to 12-month highs also sparked concern on D Street. Markets saw a volatile session ahead of F&O expiry. Sensex down 610 points to settle at 65,508, while Nifty slipped 193 points to 19,524. Top movers today: L&T, Airtel, ONGC, Coal India and Power Grid. And on the downside, Tech Mahindra, Asian Paints, LTI Mindtree, M&M and Wipro lagging behind. September has witnessed huge foreign fund outflows from the Indian stock markets. Foreign portfolio investors turned net sellers for the first time 7 months in September. Data shows that FPIs have pulled out a net $1.5 billion with 2 days of trade remaining this month. The reason? Rising bond yields and a stronger US dollar. FPIs have been net buyers from March to August, buying shares worth $21.3 billion in this period. Veteran emerging market fund manager Mark Mobius, who manages around 300 million worth of assets across the globe, remains bullish on the India story despite the latest sell-off by FPIs this month. In an exclusive chat with Business Today's Rahul Oberoi, the ace investor spoke about why he believes in India's growth. He also spoke about the possible impact of diplomatic tensions between India and Canada.
And what is keeping you bullish on India? Which are the factors?
So many things there. Of course, the fact that it's a democracy, and you have a very strong capital commitment, capital growth, number one. Number two, high growth of the economy, one of the highest in the world. Number three, young population. Number four, English-speaking population that is very evident around the world. You know, India has so many people around the world that are leaders in different fields. And of course, that know-how is going to be coming back to India and help the growth of India. And of course, India is coming from a low base. So the percentage changes in terms of growth are going to be very good.
If we talk about Chinese market have hardly delivered any return to investors in 2023. So which are the factors weighed on sentiments this year? And do you think any further underperformance in the country can benefit Indian markets?
Well, as you know, a lot of companies around the world, particularly American companies, are wanting to diversify their base, their manufacturing base, away from dependence on China, which has been very, very great, as you know. But that does not mean that they are going to exit China completely. China will still be a very important market, not only for manufacturing, but also for exports from other countries around the world. China is a big consumer market. So the big change that's taking place in China, of course, is that they're moving away from emphasis on property investment and now more emphasis on technology. Because as you know, Xi Jinping has very clearly stated that he wants China to be able to overtake the US in terms of semiconductors and technology generally. So there's going to be an incredible amount of investment in those areas.
If we talk about recent tensions between India and Canada, so can we see some outflows from Canadian funds from India?
Yes, you will see some, but this is very insignificant. You know, when you look at the total picture of trade, investment, etc., Canada is a very, very small part of the total picture. So I don't think this is going to be significant. There's a lot of noise, I know, about Trudeau and what he said, etc., but I don't think it's going to have a big impact.
Let's take a very quick break. Let me remind you to watch Business Today TV's exclusive high-powered chat with the former U.S. Treasury Larry Summers and former chairman of the 15th Finance Commission, N.K. Singh, tomorrow at 10:30 p.m.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट है वहाँ कनाडा में, वो खालिस्तानी सिंपथाइजर पर डिपेंडेंट है। उनकी एक सपोर्टिंग पार्टी जो है वो प्रो खालिस्तानी है, लेकिन हमारी ये फिर भी प्रयास लगातार रहता है और रहा है कि वो हमारी सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न्स को समझें और उसके बेसिस पर रिएक्ट करें। जहां तक पन्नू का सवाल है या निज्जर का सवाल है, इसके बारे में हम लोगों ने उनको कंक्रीट एविडेंस दिया है और वो स्वयं भी जानते हैं कि इन लोगों की किस तरह की गतिविधियां हैं। लेकिन अफसोस यही है कि वहां से जिस तरह की रिस्पांस मिलनी चाहिए कनाडा से, वो रिस्पांस नहीं मिली है। जहां तक निज्जर की गतिविधियों का सवाल है, हम लोगों ने ये पाया था कि निज्जर यहाँ देश पंजाब में बहुत तरह की जो है इलीगल एक्टिविटीज करवाने की, शांति व्यवस्था को भंग करने के प्रयास करता रहा है, लेकिन उसमें वो सफल नहीं हो पाया है। आज के दिन हम सब लोग जानते हैं कि क्राइम करने के लिए बाउंड्रीज जो हैं वो इमेटीरियल हो गई हैं। ये पाकिस्तान के बारे में तो हम सब सदा से जानते हैं, पाकिस्तान ने कश्मीर में भी प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट किए हैं, करते रहे हैं, अभी भी करते हैं। पहले पंजाब में भी प्रॉब्लम उन्होंने क्रिएट करने की कोशिश की थी, उस पर काबू पा लिया गया था और अब भी वो एक उनकी तरफ से एक लगातार ये प्रयास रहता है, जिसके लिए वो विदेशों में जहां जहां भी उनकी एम्बेसीज हैं, जहां जहां भी उनको इस काम के लिए लोग मिल सकते हैं, उस पर वो लगे रहते हैं। सवाल ये है कि हमारे यहाँ हमारी सिक्योरिटी एजेंसीज, मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत अलर्ट है।
बाबा साहब ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆ ಬರೆದಾರೆ, ಭಾರತಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪವಾಸ ಕುಂಡ್ರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಹೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸರ ಭಯದಿಂದ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋದ್ರು. ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸರು 2ನೇ ಮಹಾಯುದ್ಧದ ನಂತರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅವರು 4-5 ಭಾಗವನ್ನ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಘೋಷಣೆ ಆಯಿತು. ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ಕರೆನ್ಸಿ, ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ಧ್ವಜ, ಅದರದೇ ಒಂದು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರಗೀತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಮೋದಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೆಹರು ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನೇತಾಜಿ ಸುಭಾಷ್ ಚಂದ್ರ ಬೋಸ್ ದೇಶದ ಪ್ರಧಾನಮಂತ್ರಿ.
Air quality today. In Delhi, 153. In Mumbai, 91. In Kolkata, 61. In Bengaluru, 31. In Chennai, 66. In Hyderabad, 84.
Welcome back. Amul is all set to open a new 2 million litre per day dairy in Rajkot. The FMCG brand, India's largest, is also planning a huge expansion into the organic space. Speaking to Business Today TV's Chetan Bhutani on the sidelines of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, Jayan Mehta, MD of the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, also revealed what the dairy Goliath has in store for festive season.
Gujarat has seen a very vibrant growth over the last several decades thanks to this Vibrant Gujarati event. And to just put the perspective in numbers, in the year 2002-03, when this event started, GCF, the Gujarat Milk Marketing Federation, Amul brand turnover was about 2,400 crores. Today, GCF has grown 25 times in 20 years, and our balance sheet turnover is 55,000 crores. And Amul brand turnover is 72,000 crores, making it the largest FMCG brand in the country. So the growth of Gujarat, growth of Amul has been synonymous, and it is true the credit goes to all the 3.6 million farmers across 18,600 villages of Gujarat, and primarily the women who have been driving this growth with potential and opportunity, and making us a formidable force in the country and possibly a powerhouse or a dairy to the world.
So the Prime Minister also pointed out on the implementation of the policy. You know, you have your farmers there, everything is good, but the MOUs are signed, but once not implemented, has no use of it, sir. So tell us about what new the state of Gujarat has done over a period of years, so that the policy implementation part, as a businessman, as an industrialist, what difference have you seen over the years?
You know, we are actually seeing the walking of the talk. Because we are in every village of Gujarat. We have districts and unions and the dairy plants in every district of the state. And the expansion plan, the rapid increase in milk from just 3-4 million litres a day to now 30 million litres a day is all happened right in front of our eyes. And with the team, both from the government, the policy makers, the ministries, and of course our management team, all have contributed to this growth, and it's not that one person is responsible. It's the entire collective enterprise driven by a large number of people making this possible.
Does Amul still participate at Vibrant Gujarat summits, and do you still sign MOUs with the government? And if yes, what all is the new phase that Amul would get into with the Gujarat government?
You see, Amul has been a part of the Gujarat growth story, and of course we continue our association with every single Vibrant Gujarati event. This year also we'll be participating in a big way. We have been investing big time in Gujarat. So a new dairy plant of more than 2 million litres capacity is being put up at Rajkot. We're going to sign an MOU worth more than 2,000 crore rupees only for that plant, handling 2 million litres a day. Plus many other projects are there in the pipeline. Our initiatives in the organic space, our initiatives in the development of variety of products in every district of the state. All this is a part of the event.
The upcoming festive season also means massive discounts and sales by e-commerce giants Amazon and Flipkart. Both have teased their mega sales but have not announced the dates just as yet. What also accompanies these sales are massive logistical efforts to ensure products reach customers on time. BTTV's Karishma Sudani visited an Amazon fulfillment center in Bengaluru and spoke to the company's operations VP Abhinav Singh.
It's an army of Amazon team that's working right there. Tell me what exactly happens once a consumer clicks the buy button, the kind of processes that go on.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. When you click buy, the first thing that happens is we figure out which is the best place to fulfill your order from. Right, Right now you're staying in Delhi. And if you're a Prime customer, which I hope you are, you would then be expecting the delivery of that package the same day or the very next day. So we will try and make sure it gets fulfilled from a customer fulfillment center very close to you in Delhi or on the outskirts of Delhi. That decision is happening real time. So before you get to the promise page, there is an inventory check being done to decide where to put the order. Once you have decided to buy, there is an order drop, we call it, but basically an electronic signal goes to the fulfillment center and onto people's devices so that they can go and pick your order. From there it goes to the packing station. On the packing station, we use machine learning algorithms to determine what is the right box size to send the stuff to you in. If you've ordered two things, which is the best box to fit those two things in and yet not send you a box which is big and harmful for the environment. By the way, a quick segue, you would have noticed that all the packages coming from a fulfillment center are 100% paper. We eliminated single-use plastic two years ago, and recently we have moved all our packaging to paper packaging.
Meta Platforms has offered a peek into future of tech, rolling out new AI products for consumers, including bots that create photorealistic images and smart glasses that answer questions. Also on offer, an updated virtual reality headset. Speaking at the annual Meta Connect conference, CEO Mark Zuckerberg also announced a new platform that developers and ordinary people may use to create custom AI bots of their own.
Meta AI it's your basic assistant.
Meta is unleashing its army of chatbots, more than 24 chatbots, which will make its social media applications like Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram smarter. The company announced Meta AI, a conversational assistant that will deliver real-time information and generate photorealistic images from users' text prompts. For this, Meta has partnered with Microsoft's Bing Search to deliver information off the internet.
Let's check this out. So let's say you're planning dinner. You got Max, the sous chef, who can help you come up with a recipe and help you come up with ideas. So if you want to find a way to sneak some broccoli into your kid's dinner, Max has got you. Let's say you add too much salt to the recipe, he can help you balance it out. All right. Or let's say you're writing something like a keynote and you're not really sure where to get started. You can ask Lily, or personal editor AI, who can help you brainstorm and share tips, or you can give her a bunch of the text that you've written and she can help you edit it and make it better.
Meta will add AI chatbots that will have celebrities such as Bear Grylls, Chloe Kim and Josh Richards, among others. The company also announced Meta AI Studio, a platform for developers to build custom AI chatbots. These bots will have profiles on Instagram and Facebook, and users will also be able to chat with them in WhatsApp, Messenger and Instagram. The chatbots and the AI Studio have been launched in beta in the United States.
We've been creating something that we call AI Studio. And it is a platform for building these kind of AIs. And we're starting by opening up the API for integrating into our messaging apps to start. And that's going to open in the coming weeks. We are also building a sandbox so that people who don't code can also train AIs like this. And we're working on that and iterating on it. And we hope to have that out sometime early next year.
Other big announcements included a tool to generate AI stickers and images, which will be available on WhatsApp and Instagram. Also unveiled a new mixed reality headset, Quest 3 and Ray-Ban smart glasses starting at $299, which can live stream directly to followers on Facebook and Instagram. The smart glasses will also have Meta AI built-in, with the ability to give information on the item a user is looking at. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
This is upgraded from the first version.
It's like all around me. That's all from us on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Amid the escalating India-Canada standoff, the National Investigation Agency has intensified its crackdown on Khalistani terrorists. The NIA on Wednesday raided 50 locations in Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. During the raids, the NIA detained wanted Canada-based terrorist Arsh Dala's aide Jora from Firozpur in Punjab. Sources in the NIA have revealed how Khalistani gangsters based abroad are funding overground workers in India through Hawala channels to procure drugs and weapons. Information retrieved, Khalistani gangsters arrested under the UAPA so far has shown the Nexus is involved in terrorist funding and arms supply from foreign soil.
Khalistani terror modules now under scanner of the NIA, and what we know is that this pertains to 6 states. The Khalistani extremist groups are already under pressure with properties being seized. Other properties of 19 terror groups have now been under process of identification, and there would be a lot of action which would be done on ground. But clearly at this point of time, a lot of action happening in Punjab.
The NIA's charge sheet, accessed by India Today, reveals how Khalistani terrorist Arsh Dala runs an extortion gang and supplies arms and drugs from Pakistan through drones. The charge sheet also claims Khalistanis are targeting Punjabi music and film industries and are demanding extortion money from producers and directors. The NIA court documents expose the alleged nexus between Khalistanis and Dawood Ibrahim. In the investigation, it has come to light that terror outfit Babbar Khalsa International has built up ties with Dawood and through him with banned terrorist organizations like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Indian Mujahideen. With Kamaljeet Sandhu in Chandigarh and Shreya Chatterjee in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
I try to understand how different was it, let's say, to the traffic on Delhi-Noida border or Delhi-Gurgaon border. And it was definitely taking way more than usual. I try to understand it and take a look at this map. For example, if there was a distance from Yemalur to Bengaluru, which is about 4 kilometers. 4 kilometers, that's not too much. It took 3 hours to cross that stretch for the residents. For example, let's take HSR to Bengaluru again, though it connects the same route. 4.6 kilometers. 3 hours almost to be stuck in that traffic. And I'm talking not just about office goers. There were school children who left from schools and reached at about 8 p.m. to their residence. A 3 kilometer, almost 1.5 hours from the Alpine Eco Apartments to Ashray layout. So this about 3 kilometers took over 1 hour to even cover. 16 kilometers, which is a longer stretch, for example, from the Manyata Tech Park to Marathalli. Took about almost 4.5–5 hours. Imagine being stuck in traffic for 4 hours. You could actually be in another city, another state also, but it took 5 hours even just in that.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Bombshell on slain terrorist Nijjar. Sun exposes Nexus with Canadian intel. Frequent visitor and possible protectee. Was Nijjar a state agent for Canada? ये रिश्ता क्या कहलाता है, Mr. Trudeau?
The revelations that have come out courtesy Hardeep Singh Nijjar's son are no small thing. They basically suggest, like I just told you, that the Canadian taxpayer has been paying for weekly briefings for a man proscribed by India as a terrorist. 21-year-old Balraj Nijjar is the successor and son of terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. His claims have lit a fire that Canada isn't going to be able to put out in a hurry. Take a look.
A new twist to the diplomatic war between India and Canada over the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Hardeep Nijjar's son, Balraj, has made a sensational claim. Balraj Nijjar has said his father was regularly in contact with the Canadian intelligence agencies. Balraj, in an interview given to the Canadian media, revealed that Hardeep Singh Nijjar met senior officials of the Canadian intelligence establishment 2-3 days before he was killed on the 18th of June outside the Gurdwara in Surrey. Balraj also said that intelligence authorities had advised Nijjar to stay home. Balraj says he accompanied his father to these meetings. The new revelations come days after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a statement in Parliament, pointed fingers at India over the murder.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
India has categorically rejected the Canadian allegation of involvement in Nijjar's murder as absurd and politically motivated, saying Canada had long provided shelter to Khalistani terrorists and extremists.
कुछ देश हमारी दी गई इंफॉर्मेशन पर बहुत तेजी से रिएक्ट करते रहे हैं, जबकि कनाडा के बारे में मैं अफसोस से कहता हूं